The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Voting just isn't going to the polls on Election Day anymore. Options like early voting, mail-in voting, and ballot drop boxes are available to more voters and are growing in popularity. How to Vote, a tool created by Democracy Works, breaks down the options your state offers for casting a ballot, empowering you to decide when and where to vote. Democracy works best when we all vote, but misinformation and confusion about election procedures have resulted in low voter turnout. How to Vote, a tool created by Democracy Works, takes the guesswork out of the voting process. How to Vote is an easy-to-use and help folks from all over the country overcome many of the process barriers to voting. Democracy Works is committed to helping you vote, no matter what. Their tool, How to Vote, does just that. You can sign up for election reminders, see what's on your ballot, get step-by-step assistance requesting your mail ballot, explore your options for returning your voted mail ballot, check your voter registration status, find your polling site, and make sure you have the appropriate ID. Decide when and where you'll vote this year at howto.vote. That's howto.vote. Even though this is a presidential election, there are many more candidates on the ballot besides the president. Go to Ballot Ready for a nonpartisan guide to your entire ballot. From there, you can compare candidates based on stances on issues, biography, or endorsements, and then save your choices to use when you vote by mail or in the voting booth. You can even request your absentee ballot or make a plan to vote early on or election day. This election matters. Make sure you have a plan to vote and vote informed. And this year, with changes to polling places and vote by mail laws as a result of COVID, it's more important than ever to have a plan and vote. Local elected officials affect our lives every day. They decide who to prosecute, monitor the quality of our drinking water, and choose the leadership of our schools. 30% of voters take time to vote and then leave some part of their ballot blank. This is a missed opportunity to choose the leaders of our communities. It's okay if you're unfamiliar with some of the more local positions. We recommend hosting a ballot party. Get together with friends over Zoom, split up the research, and go through the ballots together. Go to ballotready.org and enter your address to make a plan to vote and vote informed. That's ballotready.org.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful lady who was last year's Grammy winner for a Madonna mix. And of course, you may not hear the name mainstream, but after talking to this wonderful lady, you're going to hear the name now and what she did. She began at WPGC in Washington, D.C. She worked in Miami at various clubs, and she was nominated for the best mixing category since it was in inception in 98. And of course, they also proclaimed a very special day in Miami Beach, and also won quite a number of Grammy-award winnings. And I still have to catch up. I have coffee mugs, so you know. True radio lady.
I'm like, breathe, Mike. Take a breath there. Take a breath.
and you know something, too? I mean, this lady has also worked with Madonna on a number of occasions. And it's like, I haven't met her, but she's met her so many times. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Miami, last year's Grammy winner, Tracy Young. Tracy, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Oh, thank you. And, of course, after looking at your credentials as well, too, I mean, nobody knows the name, but then after, being on, everyone's going to recognize you by now. You're last year's Grammy winner for the Madonna mix. And, of course, you began your radio career in Washington, D.C. You went to Miami. And, of course, you also had a special day named for you in Miami Beach. We'll talk about that. And you also had won quite a few Grammy Awards. And I've
only won one.
Well, you know what? We'll put this in the archives, and we can say that you won several. So this will go in the time.
From your mouth to God's ears. Let's go for another.
There you go. There you go. So before we can get to all that, including working with the Madonna and some of the projects, first of all, just tell us how I got started.
Oh, my goodness. Well, when I started DJing, it was more of, I guess I got started in college. I mean, if my ex-boyfriend was a DJ and I used to watch him play, and I would just practice, and he was like, you're really good at this. You have a natural gift. And I had a love for music from a very young age. And I kind of was addicted when I saw two records being mixed together, and it became a personal obsession. I never thought I would make a career out of it at the time. But as you know now, there's tons of DJs, and it's a huge business now. So I picked a good business, Mike. I picked a good business.
and here I am, grew up with just watching one spin. So I think you've doubled up on me on that one. So, yeah.
Who would have thought to mix two pieces of vinyl together? It started in the 70s in New York, and I mean, it's just such a creative process, and to think about it, and I fell in love with the art of mixing two records together, and who would have known where it would have taken me at the time, but here I am.
And also, too, you got the new technology. Now it's just like, anybody can mix. You can do it. It was back in the day with the cassettes. You had the CDs. And now it's just like you can do it online as well, too. Like you and I are talking as well, too. You can even mix on your phone as well, too. Your iPad, your tablets. And next thing you know it, it'll be on your wristwatch, just like Dick Tracy. It's like, got the Fitbit. It's like next thing you know it, you can mix music on your Dick Tracy wristwatch.
Well, when I started, it was a very specific group of people. There weren't so many people that did it, maybe a handful. I was one of the only women, there was a few others, but yeah, it was a very difficult thing because let alone you wouldn't see people in the genre, but let alone being a woman, people would tell me that women don't DJ and I should pick another career. So.
Well, you know something? Don't say that to the women in Chicago, because there was actually an all-female radio station in Chicago. I think was WDSM in the 70s, which later became WLEP. And I think one of the ladies that was in, it was a 40th anniversary Caddyshack, and I think she played one of the daughters of Ted Knight, Mr. Club Owner. And she was a DJ in Chicago, and that just struck a memory. I'm like, holy cow. And she was like one of the four women or several that ran an all-female radio station. So
that's amazing. I did not know that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. With you being in radio, I think we can all learn from each other. And I think in a separate podcast, if you have a separate podcast, it's called Talking Shop. We could do something like that. But again, getting back to what you're doing now, this is about you. And of course, although it's Mike Wagner Show, it's all about you. You began at WGC in Washington, D.C. And, tell us how you first got involved in D.C.
Well, what happened, I would pass my cassette, as you mentioned, around to clubs and just doors would slam in my face. And I'm a driven person instinctively, and I just wouldn't take no for an answer. I wanted to do this. WPGC had put on mix shows on the air, so I was like, well, hey, maybe I could go up there and somebody would hire me. So that's what I did. I literally walked in, called off the street and said, you guys need to hire me, and they did. Albie D. Do you know Albie D?
I've heard of the name. Like I said, I've been in Greater Chicago, Southern Illinois, Milwaukee, and Bismarck. So I basically just been in like certain areas, just being like, a cult figure and all that. But, thanks to the internet and thanks to podcasting, I got my own podcast and everything else. You got your own niche, and everybody's got theirs. And I've listened to some of his stuff.
Albie D put me on the air when he found out I was a DJ. So I didn't go in there thinking I would be on the air. I went in there to learn radio and the music industry. And when Albie D found out that I knew how to mix two records together, he ended up throwing me on the air a month later. So I really, I owe a lot to him, because I kind of went in through the back door. Most people start in clubs and go to the radio, at least back then. I kind of went on the radio and then I got popular and went to clubs from there.
And what are some of the clubs you worked as well, too? It's like in Washington, he also works in some clubs in Miami. Maybe you can just tell us about some of the clubs and maybe some of the good stories, the nightmares, and maybe some are quite funny.
Oh, gosh. Well, I've about worked at every nightclub, I think, that ever existed in the United States. Sure. Chicago, let's see. There's a place called Hydrate. I believe it's still open, and I used to play there a lot. Roxy, New York, Sound Factory, New York, D.C., let's see. I played at the Fifth Column, Tracks. Those were some of the big ones in the 90s. Miami, it was Liquid, which was a hugely popular club here. It's almost like Studio 54. It was our generation of Studio 54. every celebrity would come in Liquid, and that's actually where I met Madonna. So,
Really?
Yeah, I met her at Liquid. So my friend Ingrid Casares introduced me, and it kind of that's what happened.
It sounds like it as well too. And who are some of your favorite artists and musicians growing up?
Oh gosh, I like presently Rolling Stones, Fleetwood Mac. Let's see, Michael Jackson. I mean, I have a vast. I love all types of music. I really have a wide spectrum. Some Prince, of course, The Police, Madonna, Whitney Houston. It kind of blends in and out of each genre. So.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you mentioned Madonna, and she was the most influential. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here last year's Grammy winner for the Madonna mix, Tracy Young, here on the Mike Wagner Show. She's DJ'd for quite a few decades now, and you mentioned Madonna as well too. You ended up working with Madonna, and you collaborated on a number of projects, including I guess one that just got you a Grammy as well too. Tell us about what's it like with Madonna, and how'd you first meet up with her?
Well, I met Madonna through my friend Ingrid. Ingrid actually owned the club Liquid, and she was really a champion and a great supporter of my career. She happened to be friends with Madonna. So as luck had it, that's how I met Madonna. And from there, it's our collaboration started mostly as me just DJing a bunch of her parties. I ended up playing a New Year's Eve party that she was at. Then from there, I went and did music, record release, The Next Best Thing movie premiere, bunch of her birthday parties. And then she gave me the opportunity to remix music, which was one of my first remixes with her. And I went on, I kind of evolved into that. And then I don't know what's next, but that evolution came to me doing a Crave remix, which she performed in her last tour.
Oh, wow.
It was part of her set list. And I ended up winning a Grammy with her I Rise song, which I remixed, and we made history. I was the first woman nominated, and I won. So apparently I go in the Guinness Book of World Records. I never ever thought I would be nominated, go in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's insane.
Wow. Congratulations on winning that I Rise mix and also being a Guinness. And I guess we'll have you say right now in advance, and you can take our interview and put in the vault. And congratulations on your other Grammy award winning as well too. I'd say about 3, 4, 5, maybe several, and that's what I'm looking at right now. So it's like
from your mouth to God's ears, Mike.
and of course, you worked with Madonna and with the I Rise and remix and everything else. What was it like working with Madonna, and how she is? You worked with them on a personal basis. What is she like with you?
Well, Madonna's a real artist, and I feel that knowing her, and I don't want to act like I know her well. I don't, but I feel like she's a very smart woman, of course, and she's very good. She's done very good in business, but I think she's an artist first. And I don't think that she gets credit for her artistry as much as she kind of deserves, because everybody always thinks that it's calculated and it's reinventing. I don't think it's that. I think that's more of how the media has defined her. I think she's just really an artistic genius, always wanting to evolve and do different things. And after seeing this last tour, I mean, it opened my mind, like, because it was a small theater and it kind of was like a Broadway theatrical type of tour. And I was like, God, she's really a creative person. And a lot of people just think she's super calculated. And I'm not so sure anymore. I think that's just how the media has kind of defined her. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Right. It's just the way with today's social media. It's almost like everybody's just coming from an angle, unlike back in the days, with, the hot mixes and the regular radio, 70s and 80s, we've become accustomed to, even going into the 90s. You just had just a few outlets, a few networks, and just a few labels. Where in a sense, it's like, I guess, asked this question a lot. It's almost like a double-edged sword. It may seem limited, but they're also very trustworthy. And also, I would have to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's like, they're like the authority. And now it's like, it's pretty much branched off into several, outlets as well. It's like, they can be trustworthy and bringing on some new talent, but then there may be some false information, or you may have like, sheep and wolves clothing. So I guess.
Well, I just think that like things have the ability to be misunderstood so much more now. And Madonna's not the only one that gets this. I guess it's kind of abuse because, other people's art gets misinterpreted, and the artist may not mean it that way, but it's interpreted a certain way, and it goes viral, and then you get labeled as, I don't know. I just find Madonna a very, very artistic person that likes to explore different outlets for her creativity. And, like in the 90s, you mentioned, she does do controversial things, but that's just part of art. It's supposed to provoke thought. So I just, she's also a woman in a business that is dominated by men, which I identify with her struggle with, because even though I'm not I don't think I would do very well being that famous, but I kind of relate to her struggle because she can't win no matter what she does. And, I still hear no a lot in this business, and I do have a Grammy, and it's right here, Mike.
Oh, look at that. I want that. Oh, you know what? If I had the ability to put my hands through my computer and reach out, I could touch that right now. But I can't believe the technology.
It's heavy, too. It's a very heavy piece. It's beautiful. It's art.
Oh, something, too? It makes a good workout as well, too, at your desk.
I'm going to need that soon with this COVID stuff.
Well, and of course, speaking of business, talk about Madonna being a businesswoman as well, too. And you being a businesswoman yourself, you also own Farage Records. And, tell us about that. And what inspired you to start your own record company?
Well, again, it was doors being closed in my face. I wanted, when you kind of, as a woman, and I'm not one of those women that think every man's a jerk or whatever. I'm just saying that there are more men in the music industry than women, and sometimes the women that are in the music industry get overlooked, which, is just, it's a matter of having conversation. So I wanted to put music out on a record label. Well, I kept getting turned down. So I was like, well, I'll just put it out myself. And that's how Farage happened. And, it's just a tool for me to have when I want to be creative. It's an outlet. And it could I haven't focused so much on my label, but now I'm really, because the clubs are closed and I'm not DJing as much, I'm really focusing on my label and releasing music. So, that might end up being a big focus of mine right now, because I can't DJ, so all I'm doing is making music.
Now, is it just your own music you're putting on your label, or are you accepting artists right now that want to be on your label?
I mean, I'm open to hearing, talent, of course. I do sign other tracks and people wanting to come up. So if you want to send me any demos, I do listen to it. I haven't explored that as much as I think I'm going to in the future. So yes.
Are you looking at a specific genre, or are you open to all genres, or what are you looking for?
I'm open because, I think now with music, people they kind of crisscross. Like when we were coming up, Mike, it was rock, alternative, R&B, pop, and the record companies kind of controlled that. Now people are making music out of their homes, and it's just a big plethora of different types of stuff going on, and I love it because it also it's got its advantages and disadvantages, because there's so much out there that there's no focus. I miss the days when I used to get promoted to, you had a little bit of a focus, but at the same time, all this genius materials coming out that inspires me. So I'm open. If people want to send me music, it's a focus of mine moving forward.
And I'm sure people out there who've got classical rap, I'm sure they can send it to you, or say with
good idea, Mike. Classical rap. So,
yeah, there you go. And I'm sure Amadeus would love it too. Remember Amadeus? Oh my God.
Yeah, Roxy Amadeus.
Boy, I think we're at the talk 80s as well too. And
they're putting on the Ritz by, I think that was Taco. Remember?
Taco. Oh my gosh. And I have to say, it's like I worked in Chicago at one of the stations, and putting on the Ritz was a big thing. And I think you had the pop 80s, and I get some requests from like the 70s or somebody you never heard of. And I remember the one song that I played when I first started my career in 1982 in Palatine, Illinois. I played Green Tambourine by Lemon Pipers because it was labeled 001. It was labeled 001.
I got you. I got to look that one up. I don't remember that one.
Oh, I tell you, it's just like, when we're out the air, I'm sure we can share more stories, in a podcast as well, too. And a little bit more with Tracy Young in just a minute. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here last year's Grammy winner for the Madonna mix, Tracy Young, here on the Mike Wagner Show. And you also racked up over 60 number one U.S. Billboard Dance Club charts hits since 2000. And how the heck did you do that? Tell us more about it.
For me, it was a very specific category. It's the remix. And I guess coming from having a DJ background, it kind of gives you a little bit of leverage. And working with the artists that I work with, a good remix starts with a good song, and I happen to have been blessed with working with many great artists with great songs. And if you have a excuse me, if you have a not so great song, it's hard to make a good remix. So, I mean, everything starts with a great song. It just has to be a great song.
Mm-hmm. And I think that makes a lot of sense, too. I think somebody was trying to call you and say, hey,
I was like, oops, it's CNN notification. What's going on in the world right now? I don't want to know. I'll be happy when the election's over, Mike. So maybe the world will go back to normal.
Well, we'll see what happens, too. And, of course, we talk about radio as well, too, that the days we grew up with radio in the 70s and 80s, you had that aspects of radio and how programming and people listen. And, of course, fast forward to radio into 2020. How in your opinion, you compare radio, when you worked in Washington, back in the 90s, how would you compare it to now when it comes to radio?
Well, I mean, I still think that radio is a very important tool for an artist. I was a music director at WPGC before I moved to Miami. And I mean, it's still powerful. The terrestrial radio stations. I mean, it's how mass information gets out there. It's how artists can promote their music. It's how artists get paid. And, now that we have digital radio, I mean, it's just taken it to another level. And I'm happy with it both. I mean, I prefer digital, terrestrial radio. I like the interaction from people like you on the air that talk about current events, talk about, play their favorite songs and just old school. But I can understand why Sirius XM and Spotify and all these other digital streaming services are just as important, because artists have to make a living, and they're so powerful with how far they reach. I mean, there are millions and millions of clicks on some of these musical stations, and I mean, it's overwhelming to me. I miss the focus, as I mentioned.
And of course, too, another question which we all get asked is AM radio considered dead? Why or why not?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have enough information to answer that. I think AM radio has evolved into what the podcast would be in today's world. I never really listened to AM radio, but when I did at WPGC, my program director had experimented with our AM stations, and it was kind of a testing ground, so to speak. So, I mean, podcasts are immensely popular right now, don't you think? Like, people are searching for, I think, what terrestrial radio used to be. So I would have to say, without a lot of insight, no, AM radio has just evolved into the podcast, is what I would think.
I think that's a very good answer, too. And, of course, AM radio is not dead for a good reason. Of course, the towers stand strong. And, of course, even in tornadoes, fires, winds, hurricanes, they're impossible to take down. And, of course, someone's got to be there in case, like, say, a tornado warning, a hurricane warning, a fire or natural disaster, or even like you get on, say, your favorite team won. How are they doing? Or presidential debates, or even on some fun stations
exactly.
like people calling you, it's like, what's the wind speed going to be, and how are the roads? And also, if they can say, hey, I found a lost dog, or I'm missing a cat, or anything like that, or even, stuff for sale. I got this for sale, and please call. So there's still some.
I mean, again, I'm not, but that's all true. I'm not as knowledgeable about AM as I am FM, but That's all true. You have a good point. See, Mike, two minds come together and we just explode in genius.
And mix them together, too. So we'll have to do a virtual where it's like we got to do a mix like over online or something like that. So,
yeah.
We'll talk about it another time as well, too. And Tracy, just a few minutes here. You've been fantastic. Love you to have back on. And what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond when it comes to new projects?
Well, I'm working on some personal projects that I haven't had time to kind of give it my attention. I'm working on a book. I don't know exactly what direction that's going to go, so I'm just going to leave it vague. And a lot of new music is coming out. I just actually Friday had a Tegan and Sarah record come out on Warner Brothers, which is exciting. So, they're great. And I did a remix for them and for their EP. So, working on music, but.
And it's good to stay busy as well, too. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career, Tracy?
Oh, wow. It would be Albie D. Donnie Simpson at WPGC, Madonna, like I have decades, Ingrid and Madonna. Mm-hmm. And you, Mike, and you, because I'm on the Mike Wagner show now.
That is a good influence. I love that. And what's the best advice?
Of course, my mom,
Oh, yes, right. Don't forget the parents.
My mom was always encouraging me that dreams come true and to dream big. And I did, and dreams do come true. So.
Very true indeed. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Learn how not to take rejection personal. It's not personal. It's a way of life, and if you can, handle rejection and continue moving forward. I've had a lot of no's in my life, but the one yes was a big one, and somebody will see what your destiny is. So, Mike, have you heard no a lot in your life? I'm sure, right?
You know what? I think I've lost count, to be honest with you. It's like
that's what I mean.
It's like, I think my mind went into overload and just went into memory dump. That's how I describe it. So
you didn't take it personal, right? And now you're sitting here with, you ramble on all the stuff that you're working on. I can't keep up. So you're hugely.
Actually, Tracy, I have to keep up with you. It's just like, it's a good lot of information. So
love fest, Mike. It's a love fest. I adore you.
Oh, yeah. Mwah, to the world and you. Once again, Tracy Young, last year's Grammy winner for the Madonna mix and also owner of Firash Records on the Mike Wagner Show. Tracy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Or if you're listening to UK, Fab, looking forward to having you again soon. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people check out your music?
I'll just send them to my website because there's all these platforms you could go to. So it's tracyyoung.com. It's all there. All the information is right in one spot. And wherever platforms you want to follow me on, you could get them there.
Absolutely. Once again, Tracy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor. Keep us up to date. Love you back on 2020 and 2021 and beyond. And just love to have you back. We got to keep doing this more.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cuttable above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.